Now is the time.
Forever? Tangent. Old.
Halt.
Hashtag always MGM.
You are approaching the unloading area.
Calm down. AK haters.
But what if it could?
Behold, the majesty of the Sistine Ceiling.
For the kids.
A salute to all theme parks, but mostly Walt Disney World.
Ha! What a cute ending.
Aloha and
Don't Dillo it.
This is Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz. She is Jen.
Hello.
And I am Frank, and we are here recording, I believe it is the 5th of May, but actually it's the 15th of May if you are listening to this in your audio feed right now at this moment. We're only just 10 days. It's a 10-day lag.
We're closing the gap a little bit. We used to be
Closing
weeks ahead. We're starting to catch up a little bit. Is that
But
good?
we want to jump right into it because over the course of the last couple of episodes, we have been slowly going through the epic preview period. Two episodes ago, we had OPP, Operating Participant Paul, and Paul was at Epic Universe in March. And then we had Adam on, who I think we're still waiting for. You can hear the beeps in the background from his smoke detector still. And he was there in early April of 2025 during the preview period. And now we've moved forward a couple of weeks, and our guest today visited Epic Universe right at the end of April. So you know we're getting closer to opening day just based on our guests the last couple of episodes.
Exactly. We have planned this perfectly.
Our guest today is, if I'm old and the oldest person in this community, he is. He very well may be our oldest friend in this community.
That's true.
Over the past 7 years, our podcasts have run parallel, sometimes intersecting, sometimes crossing over. All these things. I have shared a Little Mermaid room at the Art of Animation with our guest today. The seaweed was always greener in that room. I don't know what I'm saying. But over the years, obviously, 5 years ago, during this time period, we were with this guest every Tuesday night on a little something we call the Parks and Monorail's most magical hour. He has been such a big part of all this time over the past 7 years. We're so happy to have him back here on the podcast. The one, the only, it's Justin Monorail. Justin!
Yeah. The crowd goes wild. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back. It's been too long, I will just say.
It's been too long.
But I've missed you guys, and I'm happy to be recording here with you tonight.
Yay.
Justin, just briefly, you said something on, obviously, the Monday Morning Monorail Podcast drops every Monday, but once in a while you sneak in a little extra, and you did an Across the Universal with Steffers that I think dropped in the feed on the 2nd of May. And something you said, I was like, spoke to me, gave me a little bit of the feels. I've been thinking about my own time in Orlando and living there lately, and you said something on that episode that I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. And it was that the excitement and the hype that you still feel going to the parks, even after the 5 years that 5+ years you've been living in Orlando. And I thought maybe elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah. So before I moved down to Florida, I had people all around me saying, well, do you think you'll get sick of the parks? Because everybody that I would talk to, they knew I was a huge Disney fan. They knew job number one, as soon as I was a Florida resident, was to get that AP. I was going to be going to Disney. I wanted to walk down Main Street as an AP. And they were like, well, how long do you think that excitement and that magic's going to last? Because, I talked to some of them who had lived here, and they were like, oh, the first year I lived in Orlando, we had passes, but then it just kind of got old, and we got tired of the crowds and the heat, and it wasn't our thing anymore. And so I worried about that. I worried that might happen to me because I'd always traveled down, living in Tennessee and just coming for brief vacations every few years. But that really hasn't happened. I do experience the parks differently as a local, but I still, when I know I'm going, I still get excited. I take a moment to really take it in and appreciate it because I know I'm very lucky to be doing it. And it still does feel magical to me. Going to a Disney park is still exciting and fun. Going to Universal, I still feel like an outsider when I go to Universal. I've had a pass now 4 years, I think. And I still, when I go in there, I'm like, they're going to know I don't belong. But like, I've been in those parks just as much as I am in Disney parks nowadays. So it's funny. I feel that way. But I was saying on the Across the Universe with Steffers that the night before, I started having this weird anxiety of like, I know I've got this big day planned tomorrow to go to Epic Universe. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to go. It's like, it's too stressful. Like I started getting in my head about like all the anxiety of the unknown. What are the crowds going to be like? I think I started thinking about like trying to get the Battle at the Ministry virtual queue. And I started thinking about like, well, I don't know where to go in the park. I don't know how to navigate. I'm going to be lost. And it just started feeling overwhelming. But the morning of, it really hit me. And I think OPP, when he was on the show, he said this, it's like not every day that a whole new theme park opens, not just a theme park, a world-class theme park, one that is going to be like a benchmark for all theme parks to come. And it really hit me. I was going to be able to go be a part of that. And so I'm driving down I-4, which is a whole other nightmare in and of itself. But I exit out of Kirkland and I start heading towards the raised traffic circle, the much storied raised traffic circle. And as I approach it, I can start to see the Stella Luna and Terra Nova. Nope, I did it. Terra Nova and Stella. Forget it. I saw the new hotels. I saw them. And as soon as I saw those hotels, it really hit me what was happening. And I got butterflies. Like I really got butterflies. Like I felt like this magical, like happiness, excitement. And the anxiety turned into like a really like a good positive anxiety of like, oh my gosh, it's like a first date. It's like a, just all the feels. And it really like I managed to sort of ride that all day. Like now I will say, hearing from other people who have gotten to go to the park in the preview period, it's a crapshoot whether or not you're going to get like a good operational day. Sometimes you go and half the rides are down. Sometimes you go, the weather's not good, whatever it may be. We had as near to perfect day as you would want from a weather standpoint and an operational standpoint. I don't think all day long any ride was down for the day. And at the end of the day, there was just one ride, which we'll talk about later. But so my experience and the crowd wasn't overwhelming. Like we were able to navigate. I think the longest line maybe we waited in all day was maybe 20 minutes. And that was including like everything being open. Like, so we rode the big ones. So like, yeah, it was just, but yeah, like it was just a really, it's a feeling I haven't had since like maybe the day I became a pass holder and went to Disney or the day I became a Universal pass holder or I went to Islands for the first time, which I was excited about, but it felt different. And this really did feel like I was kind of getting to participate in a little piece of like theme park history, which was really cool.
Yeah. I feel like Orlando is kind of a mixed bag of people who are probably similar to New Yorkers, where someone may ask us, have you been to the Statue of Liberty? Like, oh, I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't. And like, what do you mean? It's right there. I found a lot of those people when I was living in Orlando, or there were people that were there every single weekend. Yeah. And even being removed from it, and when we would play the game of, should we move back to Florida? Should we do that? And you start to think like, yeah, but if we're there every weekend, does it still hold the same type of vibe? Or do you kind of get used to it or whatever it is? But it's awesome that you're having those experiences still. and it's true. Something like this is like, even if you were starting on a downward slope, this would have been enough to bring you back, because it is so cool that a brand new theme park has opened basically in your backyard and you got to be a part of the preview. And it's that's what makes all the theme park stuff so magical that we love so much. Yeah. That's so cool.
And part of the thing I think we all connect on this. This is part of what makes us friends. The immersion into the storytelling, the suspension of disbelief, the connection that you get like to the lands, to the characters, like those are the things that make the big difference. And like this, one of the things that I feel like this park does really well, and we kind of knew it when we started seeing the marketing. Of course, who knows what's going to make it from concept art to real life, but every single time that they would release like a teaser trailer for the new portal, it's like, oh, let's go see what it's going to be like in Nintendo World. It didn't seem like anything had changed. In fact, it seemed like there were more details and they were getting even like bigger and going more grand. And I feel like that was something we had said on the Monday Morning Monorail podcast leading into it, is it just didn't feel like Universal was going to be cutting any corners. Like you weren't going to see something that landed on the chopping block floor. Now, I think more than likely there is some stuff that we just don't know about, but it doesn't feel that way in the park. Like it feels like they knew what they were doing and they were like, we're going to do this right. And I feel like they really did.
Yeah. We have a long running joke that about the animal kingdom, and the animal kingdom opened when
I thought we were having a nice night, Frank, and now you're going to bring
I'm just gonna go right into it.
You have waited like 11 minutes. I mean, we give it a good amount of time.
Let me ask the question. I'm just waiting in.
All right.
So that it was a month before I graduated from UCF, right? So I was like, oh, I have a new theme park opening up, but I was lucky enough to experience that twice. I had Animal Kingdom open in 98, and then I had Islands of Adventure open in 99. Now, I will equate this to the fact that I was about to graduate from college as the reason why, small part of the reason why the hype for Animal Kingdom was not the same. But the Islands of Adventure hype was so real and went on for a significant period of time. So I think we're not young anymore, but just as a local and being around the buzz, like, is the energy that we read on social media for everything the same as you're experiencing walking around, not just Universal as a pass holder, but walking around Disney, wherever you happen to be? Or people have they been buzzing about it for the last couple of years like they did Islands of Adventure?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you can imagine, I sort of end up surrounding myself with people who are into the theme park thing. So a lot of my local friends, we've been talking about it since, the news leaked that there was going to be a new park in Orlando. But I think the hype has been there. But in my day-to-day, when I have to be a regular civilian and not be in theme parks, I do end up talking to a lot of people who just aren't into it. And it's kind of crazy because I feel like even now, people who I feel like should know more about the park based on the line of work that I'm in, they'll ask me questions about Epic Universe. I'm like, how do you not know the answer to this?
Right.
Like, so some people just are it's kind of like, it's exactly what you were saying, Jen, is that like some people are just so unplugged from the theme parks as a local that they're like, it's too crowded. No one goes there. It's too crowded. But like, for me, the people that I've been around who are into it and hyped about it, like there has been a buzz. And like I feel like it seemed like maybe in the preview period that it was going to be a little more exclusive, and like not everybody was going to be able to necessarily get in there before the park opened, which actually ended up leading to maybe a little bit more of that feeling of anticipation and excitement. But now I'm like, everybody can go. It's right. Funny they call it a preview. I know it's a preview. They can call it that because not, who knows, maybe something, they're in technical rehearsals. Maybe not everything's operating, but you're still paying the price of a day ticket and everybody can go. So
yeah, Peppers made a great point about that on the episode of like, I'm not risking paying a regular day single admission. I'm rolling the dice if I'm coming down from Carolina, like. And not that I felt the same way, but I think if there was a couple of more weeks of the leeway where it opened up to everybody, I probably would have thought about it just to say also that I could go during the preview period. But like when it dropped at the end of April there, and I was like, oh, this is a very fast month. Leading up to the opening day, that's not going to happen. But the prices was something that I was like, ooh, but also. Yeah, to see the 150 range on
right.
Will it or won't it?
For a day where they're like, well, we're not going to guarantee you anything will be open. Like, I mean, okay, but I'm paying full price essentially.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I will say that, yeah, I think that generally there has been a lot of hype and anticipation in amongst the Orlando community, and definitely among the people that I tend to associate with. So it's all coming to fruition now. It's really, really exciting.
Based on the I won't call it anxiety, based on your excitement leading up to the day of your visit, how would you rank, because I'll do a ranking at the end here, the 4 areas, and leaving out Celestial Park,
Okay.
the 4 portals, as it were, the order of excitement that you had for each one through
Okay, so order of excitement before experiencing them,
Yes.
it would have been Dark Universe. So excited to be able to go to an immersive land based on the classic monster. So that was number 1 for me. 2 was, I would say 2 was Nintendo World, just because I thought, well, this is something they've already done in other places. Plus, Nintendo is a big part of my childhood. I haven't stayed connected to it as much as an adult. I saw the Super Mario movie a couple years ago. I thought it was really good. But like, I just thought, oh, this will be a fun like ride into my nostalgia. That's something I've never gotten to experience before. And I think just because we have 2 other Harry Potter lands, I was like, I feel like I'm excited for it. I know it's going to be different, but it is more Harry Potter. So that kind of moved it down on the list. So that would have been 3. And then 4 would have been How to Train Your Dragon. And I would say even that may have been just because very early on I felt like, well, this feels like this is going to be the area for the kids more than anything, for the kids. But as people started to go and we started to hear more about it, I was like, oh, this is going to appeal to everybody, I think. But How to Train Your Dragon wasn't a property that I necessarily had a big connection to. So that's the only reason I'd put it at 4.
Did they meet or exceed, or were the expectations not met once you were there?
Now it's time to do the annual reviews. Coming to the office. All right, we're going to talk about it.
That's right. Didn't really meet those expectations this year. Well,
yeah, so no raise for you. No, they did. I would say across the board, they exceeded my expectations. Like I can't think of a land where I went in and thought, oh, this did not live up to the hype, or I'm disappointed. I was the excitement and butterflies I felt going into the park, I felt going through every portal for the first time. And I know when you were talking with OPP, you were talking about the escalator into Nintendo World, right? So I get what you're saying. What in the thought, it's an escalator. You sort of have to suspend the disbelief a little bit, because essentially what you're doing is you're warping. You don't want to be walking through a warp, right? So you're warping through a pipe into Nintendo World. And if you take it like I did, so you step on the escalator and then you just sort of look up and look around you, and you've got, the effects, and you're hearing the warp sounds, and you're starting to hear the Nintendo music. It's a very cool entryway into that land. I would say if you wanted to stare at the escalator and look behind you and be like, I'm at the airport, then you can do that too. But I don't suggest doing it that way.
Right. Your recommendation. No.
Yeah.
World of play, have fun, enjoy it, suspend the disbelief. But like, I think I also really resonated with Super Nintendo World is overwhelming. I could see that being too much for people who have sensory problems.
Yeah.
It is loud, it is colorful, there's stuff moving everywhere. Even as a person who I don't have sensory problems, I could see if I was in a mood or I was tired or something, that land would be too much for me.
Yeah.
Now I will counter that by saying I did get a power-up band, and Bob and I spent an inordinate amount of time playing in that land, like just trying to find all the bricks, trying to find all the coins. And I didn't even realize until we left, like when you buy a power-up band, it comes with a map that shows you where all the interactive points are in Super Nintendo Land, which is great. But it also tells you, well, there are objectives that you can achieve and unlock certain things. I had no idea. I didn't know that when we were in there. I was just randomly going around hitting stuff. We found some mini games that we played. And for those of you who maybe don't listen to the Monday Morning Monorail podcast, Cocktail Bob was my compatriot on this day. He's 6'7" and has probably an 8-foot wingspan. So he can
He's a
play
big
these
dude.
mini games. He can play these mini games and just stand still, and he can touch everything. It's like, come on, man. But
just as a sidebar on Cocktail
yeah.
Bob for a second, because I met Cocktail Bob at your 40th birthday at Halloween Horror Nights, and I felt very protected by standing next to him in the queue.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
Yeah, it helped relieve my fears of whatever was happening.
You sort of get, what the dynamic is with he and his wife. She's diminutive, and he is not. And but no, I feel that way too. It always does take me down a notch though when I give him a hug, because I have to get on my tiptoes, and I'm like, oh, that puts me in my place.
Do you kick the back leg up? Like, do you get the leg up?
But I'm telling you, for all his size, he's a big kid. He was having a blast. I actually lost track of him multiple times in Nintendo World because he would just be
for that big.
Yeah,
guy.
he'd just be gone. I'm like, well, Bob's gone again. Okay. So he was having a great time. But yeah, that was my takeaway. But I would say the rankings, I would change them slightly. I think after experiencing them, Dark Universe is still number one. I loved it. It was everything I wanted it to be. I can't wait to experience it on a cloudy day. I can't wait to experience it at night because I didn't get to do that. I love it.
Thunderstorm, mid-afternoon.
And a thunderstorm. Oh yeah, can you imagine? Like, just perfect. But like everything about it, the music, the immersion into, like, you really, in order to find the Burning Blade Tavern, which was of course an objective of mine because I enjoy cocktails and lounges and bars. You have to go back in that land. It's not obvious where it is. You have to go find it, which is kind of crazy because you see these videos of the windmill bursting into flame and you're like, oh, surely that's like a centerpiece of the land. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's like tucked away, and you have to go like look for it. And that's one of the things that I feel like it's going to be true about this entire park. You will get the most out of it if you explore. If you take the time to look for the nooks and crannies, interact with the team members, the characters that are actually in the lands and part of the storytelling. We found Igor. He's really funny to watch if you've seen some of the videos of him. But he was already sort of like involved with a couple of like families that were talking to him, so we didn't wait around. But we did interact with the Invisible Man, and that was so much fun. I mean, he just he'll roast you. Be ready, because he's gonna roast you.
He loved you, no?
No, he was not. He was not. Apparently, I'm exhausting. I've never heard that before. But I was sad we didn't get to see Frankenstein's monster or Bride of Frankenstein. We didn't see them, and we didn't. And I think Dracula. I don't know if he's meeting yet, but I think he's supposed to be a character in the land, so we didn't see him either. But just even like exploring back there and just taking in all the details. This park's going to be about, yes, it does have these amazing technologically impressive rides, but it's going to be about the storytelling and immersion and exploring the details as much as anything, I think.
Yeah, you said a really interesting thing on that episode with Steffers, where because obviously the entertainment that I've seen, I've been like, oh, that's cool, and we talked about the Invisible Man separately, and the violin playing storyteller, the way you described it, of like, once the player knew you were going to engage, it was almost like a video game where you walked upon and the scene took place, and I found that I really loved the description of it, because I was like, oh, I wonder if that's part of their approach, is like, we want to treat it like you're going through even though you're in Dark Universe, like it's a video game. Yeah,
you kind of can look at it like that. It's a first person video game. You're the main character. And I would say at every possible juncture, they're trying to give you that experience. I think it was just perfect timing the way I walked up to the storyteller, because we were just coming into the land and I was taking in the vista and kind of getting a panorama. I look over and I saw the violinist, and I'm like, oh, I thought he was like mid-show. And I walk right up. He looks right at me and says, would you like to hear a story? And I was like, what? This is insane. So, of course, I interact with him. And then he goes through the whole thing. And it just felt like there was a small crowd there, but it felt very like personal and interactive. And though we had several of those kind of interactions throughout the day, that, I mean, that's the thing that sets it apart. You know, that's what makes it alive. So it was really cool.
So I know that since being in Orlando, you have grown to love Halloween Horror Nights, which ties in to the monsters and the classics and all of that. Do you see a way for them to, in the future, perhaps expand Halloween Horror Nights to this park, maybe in this portal, or incorporate it in some way? Like, can you do you think they would keep that separate still, or can you see that possibility?
I think they could, but I would say for this park specifically, you couldn't just take any IP and throw a house or something into this land. It would have to be in the Dark Universe story for them to do it. I could see them doing, like, every season, there's a new, maybe there's a new character that shows up in this land and they have a house or some sort of an interaction. I would love for them to do that. I think that would be really cool. But I think it would have to be very specific and in story for them to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought that I had that question on my list too, Jen. Whether it would just be like its own scare zone at Halloween time, or could they expand it beyond? Just, but again, it would just be for that area.
Yeah.
Well, and tying back to the Halloween Horror Nights thing. So Landon, of course, is our resident chicken on the Monday Morning Monorail, and he, leading up to Epic Universe opening and the preview period opening, we talked to him about Dark Universe, and he has his own anxiety about even going in that land. Because he's like, well, I don't want jump scares. I don't want, like, that's not what I'm signed up for. Like, I want to experience it, but I don't want that experience of, like, the Halloween Horror Nights. And I will say, we were there during the day. I don't know how much different it would be at night, but it doesn't feel like you're in a haunted house. And even I had heard in the Monsters Unchained queue that there will be at least one jump scare opportunity. That didn't happen when we were there. I don't know if that's something that'll be like after the park opens, but even that ride is not like riding. I think Forbidden Journey is scarier than the Monsters Unchained ride. The Monsters Unchained is more like, you're part of the story, but you're watching. It's like, oh, look at all these really cool monsters coming to life, like all these really cool classic, characters that I've seen in these old movies. And of course, they've updated the story with Victoria Frankenstein being in charge and everything. But it didn't. There aren't like jump scares in the ride per se, and like I could see that one. It might be tough for kids. It's too intense for maybe small children and things. But it's like, it's nothing in there to me is any scarier than Black Widow spiders falling on your head in the in the Bugs Life 3D show. Like, really.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is why we won't be going to that.
That area intrigues me the most because, one, it makes me want to go back and revisit all the classic horror movies that I probably haven't seen since I'm like 19 or whatever. So for that reason alone, but it also then looking forward, it makes me think, all right, they're going to have to try to reboot how they do the classic versions of these without incorporating Tom Cruise in a mummy movie.
Exactly.
Like, how will they go about it? And because I think it still needs that classic feel, but it has to be, you gotta pull those IPs together.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. I don't know. Did you all see Nosferatu? Did you see that movie?
No, but I heard it's very good.
So in my mind, that is the way they should have been doing the reboot of the Dark Universe from the beginning. It feels like old horror movie storytelling, done in a modern way. It's a little bit of a slow burn. You've got the monster who's the main focus, and it's a lot more about setting up the atmosphere and sort of maintaining that uneasy, like, just ambiance the whole time. And I know that movies like that don't necessarily appeal to the ADHD people that we are nowadays. But I think that's how you have to do it with those movies, because I don't know that you can, without going full like CGI. I would love for them to be practical and to feel a lot more like you have to have characters you connect to. Now that's one of the things that they need to think about is like, we don't want Tom Cruise doing a Mission Impossible mummy movie, but like you do need characters you care about. So do you do that? Do you build that around the monster or the people that are interacting with the monster? I don't know.
Yeah.
But still, I think that it can be done. And I agree with you, Frank. I feel like that's something maybe it's in the plans, but I feel like they're missing an opportunity to really definitely capitalize on this land that they have if they don't find a way to build out that universe again.
Yeah, I say this a lot about old movies that I have seen, and like they don't stay in my brain as well. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I feel like they do a really good job of, like you're saying, pulling you into the world, telling a complete story, and then releasing you. Like I do this I've seen Casablanca like 10 times, and every time I'm like, wait, what happens after that? But I get really sucked in. It's just the pacing of the movie is so different.
Yeah.
And it's not meant to just like, boom, hit you that, you're left with these impressions. It's just like, no, we're telling you a story. And yeah, I do think that might be a secret to retelling that stuff is to, trust that the people want to get pulled into a world and suspend their disbelief and do all these things.
Yeah. Set the tone. Let it wash over us. There are people who want that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, it exists. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Not maybe being as connected to How to Train Your Dragon going into it. Did this portal change that for you at all? Will you be going to see the live action? What was your experience there?
Well, I will say, sadly, this was the last portal that we went into of the day, and we didn't have a lot of time. So while I was able to sort of appreciate how beautiful the land is and how massive and all that, we didn't see any of the interactive characters, sadly. We rode, I think it's called Fire Drill. We rode the boat ride because the Hiccups wing glider, which I really wanted to ride, was down by the time we got there. And I wasn't about to do the I don't know what they call it, but the one where it just, you can flip a million times if you want to.
Not after looking for lounges all day.
No, absolutely not. Which we're going to go through that. Trust me.
Yeah.
We got to talk about drinks. So we didn't get to experience that as much, but I haven't tried to stay like spoiler free of that area because I want to see like what are people doing there and what might pull me in. And I think it will be like those character interactions. I've heard the show is great. We didn't get to see the show. And then people are saying that Hiccups wing glider coaster is sort of a sleeper pick to be one of the best rides in the park. So I'm a little sad we didn't get to do it, but Fire Drill's fine. If you want to get wet and it's a hot day, go ride Fire Drill. It's cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say this trip didn't do the thing for me just quite yet. But knowing that I have that to go back for and look forward to is pretty exciting because I know there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Rank these 3 areas that have no shade: Animal Kingdom, Toy Story Land, and Celestial Park.
Oh, come on. a whole theme park against 2 lands. It would be Animal Kingdom 1 through 3. No, Celestial Park has a lot of potential, but I think it has to develop and mature. I've heard people say right now there really is hardly any shade in that area of the park. And I did notice that they have, where the benches are, there are shade structures over the benches. So at least you do have that, I guess, if the sun's in the right place at that time of day. But yeah, it's hot and it's a lot of concrete. But there was an area just outside of the Dark Universe that's like a patio, and I think there must have been a quick service restaurant there, but I wasn't at that time looking for food. So I think it was like picnic benches and umbrellas, and then there was a stage where there was a band playing, and they were just playing covers of like modern pop songs, but doing them kind of in a classier Celestial Park sort of way. So we got to sit down, and we did have an umbrella over us, and we got some shade there and enjoyed that for a while. But like, yeah, that area right now is kind of brutal. And so for us, the park didn't open till 11, but they were letting resort guests in at 10. And so we got in the park at 10 and had to wait in Celestial Park until the park opened proper. And it was hot. It was hot in there. I was boiling. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but I mean, I think mostly people are sort of just going to be moving through that area. And also down the middle of it, there's like a trail where you go through like the winding paths, and you can see some of the vegetation that was all blocked off while we were there. I think, I'm not sure why, but like we couldn't really get to that. I wanted to say about Celestial Park that, I mean, maybe just because it is really directly connected to the Helios Grand Hotel, it feels like you're at a resort when you're in Celestial Park. And, you know, you can go over and sit down and watch the fountain show for a while. There's a lot of like food and drink options around there, but it feels not like you're in a theme park. It's really very interesting, that area, because of that.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Celestial Park, Toy Story Land. Is that your ranking then? I think Animal Kingdom's still number one.
Animal Kingdom's number one over those three.
With the most shade.
The other two are just also Rands at this point.
Oh, no. I'm getting confused by this ranking now.
Number one was Sovereignty. Oh, sorry. That was...
We can't get into your Kentucky
derby
party you were at. That looked like, I was like, that's a great idea.
Second annual. They're refining it. It was a good time.
Okay. The Ministry of Magic. You talked a lot about the virtual queue aspect, and that Cocktail Bob is a master. So really, everyone has to invite Cocktail Bob to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say he'd probably accept like VIP payment to like be part of your party and get you into Battle at the Ministry. He nailed it. I'm telling you. So we had done extensive research beforehand. Like I said, this was one of my big points of anxiety because it took me back to the days of like having to be at Hollywood Studios and getting the Rise of the Resistance queue. And everybody standing around looking at the phones. It's like a lottery. You hear people cheering, you hear people cussing, you hear like all kinds of stuff going on. But the same kind of thing, because they do the drops throughout the day. We had read that there would be a drop at 10:45 before the 11 o'clock. Something happened on the app where both of us were able to get into tell the app how many people were in our party. And then for Bob, a couple times showed up, but once he clicked it, it said it wasn't available. That was at 10:45. So when it did that to me, I just backed out of it. He stayed in. So this is the key. If you get into that screen, just stay on that screen and wait till the official drop time. That's what he did. And so he waited right up until 11. We went over to Celeste Tiki. We got ourselves our first drinks of the day, and Bob was just sitting there on his phone. And he managed to get, he got 11:05, 5 minutes after open. So
that's crazy.
It was amazing. Yeah. And then he ended up getting it again when he jumped in at like 1 o'clock. I don't know. He's a master. That's all I can say. So yes, we rode twice.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So this was the only attraction you got to do twice, or did you do anything else twice?
This was the only one we rode twice.
So just from that perspective, give me like what you picked up the second time compared to a first time.
Well, it was really cool actually. The first time, I mean, this is something that might be somewhat unique to people who are just overly obsessed with theme parks. But the first time we got to ride it, there was a breakdown like right in the middle of the ride. And so, but it was temporary. It was really short. It was maybe 30 seconds, but we got to see this scene play out. And this ride is like, you know, it's fly by the seat of your pants, hectic, mile a minute kind of action. And the scene, you could see something's wrong because everything has already played out. And now it's sort of resetting. And the Death Eater that's in front of you is sort of standing awkwardly, not knowing what to do. And then we got to move on. But it was cool to sort of have that experience without it totally interrupting the ride. And then we got to ride it the second time. But I would say on our second ride, it kind of confirmed for me because I had mentioned riding it the first time, like the first 15, 20 seconds gave me motion sickness.
Oh, yeah.
and it happened again the second time. So it's just something about how they send you off onto the adventure. It's just, it's a lot. And I was worried. I was like, oh no, this is not going to be good for me.
Yeah.
But then once you get past that initial part, it got much better. So Jen, when you ride, eyes closed, count to 15, and then you'll be fine.
I mean, my eyes are typically closed on rides, so
You can't even get off the exit of a parkway anymore.
facts.
But yeah, I definitely, I tried to take in sort of different details. The second time that I rode, we were very lucky. Our first ride, we were in the middle front seats, so ideal, perfect seating. The second time we were back left, I think, and it is sort of like it's a 2-row Tower of Terror style vehicle. Basically, it's a little bit wider, but you're blocked in on the sides and on top, so it focuses your attention, which is intentional, of course. They want you looking at these things, but it feels a little more claustrophobic on the back of it, a little more closed in, but it was still good. And there's just a lot to see. It's a lot to take in, and it's a fun story. I joked before we ever rode it. I was like, oh, who doesn't want to go see like a courtroom drama on a theme park ride? I can't wait. Will we be part of the jury selection? I don't know.
I want to be custard.
Yeah. Do I get paid for this? And I get jury duty time. I don't know. But no, it's really good. They managed to make jury duty really fun.
It's the best one ever. Funny.
All right, so let's get into the drinks, because I know you were on an epic search for drinks the whole time. I'm surprised we haven't done more of those so far. But what cocktails are at the top of your list here on your first visit?
All right, so I would have to say number one, because it was unique and fun, and they do a great presentation. It would have to be I wanted to say the name because I keep saying Lobe Destroyer, but it's Lobe Blaster is what it's called, from Bar Moonshine, Lobe Blaster. So it definitely sort of has you need a specific taste for this because it does have absinthe in it. So it's got a bit, you can taste it. Absinthe has a black licorice kind of a flavor to it. So if that's not your thing, this might not be for you, but Lobe Blaster.
Black licorice not your thing, Jen?
It's not my thing.
Oh man,
I don't really like it that much either. But so this drink has moonshine, limoncello, absinthe, lemon juice, club soda, and simple syrup, garnished with a rosemary sprig and layered with an emulsion vert. So they give you this drink that's kind of a pale green, and then they have this little elixir bottle, and they dump it in. It's like a very dark green, so it stays separated and layered for a while. But it was really good. I would say it's less sweet than a typical theme park cocktail. It's still sweet, but a little less sweet because of that black licorice absinthe kind of a cut to it.
Yep.
And it was strong. You get your money's worth with that one, I will tell you.
It does seem like a good enough balance, though. Like as you're saying all the ingredients, I feel like the lemon may cancel out some of that black licorice a little bit.
Yeah, the limoncello, it has a good bite, and it has like I said, it's a cool presentation. Plus, you do get their plastic cups, but you get to keep your little Bar Moonshine cups. So those are cool too. Nice. They have in each, well, I don't know, I shouldn't say in each, that's not true, but in Dark Universe and in the Wizarding World, they have special beers that are just in those lands. And we were told that I guess there's certain ones that you really can only get in those bars. So that's kind of fun. We always like an exclusive beer. And later on, I did try one of the special ones from this bar, but that's neither here nor there. So I heard Paul say that he enjoyed the mudslide from Celeste Tiki, and I'm here to counter this discussion because I'm not sure who wants a thick, creamy drink on a really hot day. Mudslides are great, but that's dessert at the end of the day. I got the Waturi Punch from Celeste Tiki Park. from Les Tiki Lounge. And it's planetary rum, Bacardi rum, so 2 rums, orange juice, lime juice, passion fruit, I can't speak anymore, puree, honey syrup, Angostura bitters, mint sprig, and dried blood orange. And it was really good. I've also heard their pina colada is really good if you're into that.
That sounds like a good one. Also, can I just side tangent here for a second? We often talk about, like, now when we record at night, if it's getting close to 10 o'clock, our words are like, why can't we speak in words anymore? But I was saying, back in the Parks and Monorails day, we were starting at like 10 o'clock.
That's true.
People? Like, what are we doing?
I know. That was a lifetime ago. I know. I don't know what's happened. Can't speak anymore.
Yeah, 10 o'clock. Yeah, because we used to. It was right when we started Parks and Monorails. It was at 10 o'clock. We would start early, and then we started like I think we realized like we can't stay up this late anymore.
Yeah,
it was too late. But yeah, those days were fun. But I don't know. I don't know how we did it. Because those shows would usually go long, and then we would hang out a little while after. We're like, we got to go to bed.
Yeah.
Right? It's like midnight. Like, what are we doing? Now it's 9:25, and we're like, we can't speak anymore. We have to go to sleep now.
Yeah, I've been speaking all day. It's over at this point. But anyways, that one was good too.
Is there a neon green? Is that in Dark Universe? I'm trying to think of what. Of course, I try not to spoil myself, but there's like a bright green drink of something or other.
There's a bright green drink they give you in a beaker,
right?
And I don't know which one that is. I think it comes from the Burning Blade Tavern, but I don't know which one of those drinks. I know that if you've seen, there have been videos of people that they're getting like a smoked drink where the bartender will cover it in a glass kind of dome, and then there's like it'll smoke it up, and they've got a light that makes it almost look like there's a floating light above the drink. Mm-hmm. That one's called the Pure of Heart, and Bob got that one, and it looked good. I didn't try it, but they tell you that it's a special concoction to keep the werewolves and things away. That's why it's all smoky. But I did try the Lagunita, which is a beer, but this is not a beer. This is it's a rum drink with also limoncello. Apparently I was having a limoncello day, lime, blackberry puree, and mint. And it was really good. That one was recommended to me as sort of like a dark and stormy kind of comparative, if you've had one of those. And it was pretty good. My only thing about the Burning Blade Tavern was we didn't get to see the fire. I'm not sure. I'm sure they do it on a regular basis. Like, I don't know if it's on the hour or every 30 minutes, but we didn't wait around for it. Plus, I think I'd really like to see it at night because I didn't realize there's like a whole pre-show that goes along with the windmill lighting up. So I want to see that whole thing happen. Yeah. But then also we were told while we were there. So there's like a long bar with 2 sides on the inside of that bar. And then there's a window on the outside. And we were told you can only order the food from the window on the outside. And then you'd have to come in and sit at the tables on the inside. I don't know. Surely, I don't know if that's correct, but that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. So maybe that'll get worked out as they.
Maybe that was just a preview day thing and not a.
I don't know, but that really makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Now, as a pass holder, do they have a plan for you of adding Epic to your package or whatever they're calling it? Is there an idea of when it starts, becoming available for you?
I certainly hope so. I haven't heard anything yet. I would imagine that it's going to be a 2026 kind of a thing. I'd be very surprised. Although, one of the things that is sort of impacting Epic and Disney is like right now there's a lack of international travel. It's slowed down quite a bit, and just economy pressures and different things like that. So never say never. I mean, if Epic, if Universal decides they want to get more people in the park, they'll open it up to pass holders.
Yeah.
It'll be like an add-on option that they'll just have to figure out, or maybe they'll let you upgrade for like, restart your 12 months now, but add Epic for this price.
Right. Yeah.
So I bet they will, but I haven't heard anything yet.
No, and that's, I feel like not just you guys, but in general, people talking about the summer travel to Orlando, and and when you and Stubbers were talking, I'm like, oh, maybe they shouldn't have opened before the summer, but at the same time, it's like, well, maybe we can ease in if it's a quiet time.
Yeah.
But when are you going to do it? You can't do it in when kids go back to school. You can't do it at the holidays when it's a mob scene. Like it is probably the best time. Yeah, I was like, ooh, yeah, it's hard when the summer travel ain't what it used to be.
Yeah. And if they did it like later in the year, it could happen that like what happened with Galaxy's Edge, they open it and then a hurricane comes through.
Yeah.
And it ruins like their first week of operation.
And it just screeches to a halt.
Yeah.
It's like, well.
So I don't know that there's a perfect time, but I think it would have been better if it weren't for a lot of other outside economic, political type factors that are sort of, because people want to come to this park.
Yeah.
But I think it's like other things that are maybe slowing down the ticket sales a little bit.
Yeah.
When we had OPP on, he was very connected to the IPs. When we had Adam on, the connection wasn't as strong. Where do you feel the draw to revisit the park, the repeatability? What are the things that are going to keep pulling you back to that park?
Well, I would say number one, I'm a gamer and I want to score points and I want to get achievements. So I'm going to go back with my Power Up Band. In the app, I realized that I didn't even know I was earning stamps. But now that I know that I was earning stamps, I looked at all the ones I didn't get, and I'm like, I got to go back and get all those stamps.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's part of it. Of course, I'm going to keep wanting to go back to the Dark Universe and get to experience that immersion, but also the interactions. Like I would love a chance to get to interact with, Frankenstein's monster and Bride of Frankenstein, and as they start to really like flesh that land out, I want to that'll pull me back in. I'll tell you, even though Harry Potter is one of those franchises that I've seen all the movies and I've enjoyed. I never read the books, but I love the franchise. I love the characters. I love the story. I think it's really fun. I feel like we spent a lot of time in the Wizarding World. I feel like I didn't spend enough time there. And there were plenty of walk around characters that we talked to, a couple of them. They were really fun. And so even though I don't have necessarily that, like, that's not my childhood, like Star Wars is,
right.
I still feel the draw of that world.
Yeah.
That's going to bring me back in there. And then just, like I said, the potential to make those connections to the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, I think are gonna bring me back. But I'm willing to bet that at some point I'm gonna get a 2.0 wand. I don't think, like, I think as soon as my annual pass is upgraded so that I do have access to Epic, I'll probably get a wand, because now that's also gamified on the app. So I'm gonna have to do all those things. So for me, it's like that. It's like being part of the immersion, getting more into the details and really sort of like soaking it in is probably the thing that's going to bring me back, with the biggest draw.
Yeah. And I mean, I know I mentioned Halloween Horror Nights earlier and how your love has grown for that, but you were also, when you moved to Orlando, you were mostly a Disney guy, similar to us. And your appreciation for Universal overall, I feel like, has really grown throughout the years.
Yeah.
When seeing this new park, I know it's new and shiny and all of the things. How are you comparing the three at this point to each other?
Okay, so that's a great question. I actually went to Studios and Islands last Friday. And one of the things that happened, I was back in the Lost Continent area, and I was taking it in because I was just thinking about how sad it is that so much of the stuff of that is empty right now. And there's so much they could do with it. But then I started hearing them play I've Got the Power on the PA. And I was like, it is so weird to be in a theme park and hear like pop music, like radio music.
Yeah.
Right.
But I will tell you, other than the band that was playing in Celestial Park, you don't hear that when you go to Epic Universe.
Yeah.
Because that park is so much closer to what we love as Disney fans.
Yeah.
you're not going to hear stuff out of story, and it's going to be much more immersive and separating you from the real world, whereas you're in Universal Studios and you're hearing like Dave Matthews Band or something.
Right,
It's like what? It's weird being that my background and love is for Disney. It's just weird being in a park and hearing stuff like that. Still, it'll take me out of it sometimes.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. To kind of bridge it back towards Disney, this podcast episode is dropping on May 15th. On May the 16th, you have a plan. We know that Muppet Vision 3D is closing in 3 weeks, and the three of us really haven't sat down and had a conversation about this together. Because from last summer, from the D23 announcement, the concept art, to the announcement in the fall that it was closed, all these things. So without having this go until midnight on this recording, I know you have a plan for the 16th of May. But really, what are you thinking here the last 3 weeks that we have of Muppet Vision 3D?
I think it hasn't really totally hit me yet that it's going away.
Forever?
Hopefully not. But yeah, I mean, part of me trying to process my feelings is this marathon we're going to do in the parks on the 16th is, and I've said, we're not trying to do a Living with the Landon kind of stunt here. I'm not going to try to see how many times I can do Muppet Vision.
You need like an expecting mother to give birth in order to match what happened at the end of Living with the Landon.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's true. Have like someone give birth in the middle.
That's true. So we're not even going to try to get to that level, but really it's more just about like kind of celebrating Muppet Vision. Let's go do it as many times as we want to, but just soaking in Muppet Vision Courtyard or Muppet's Courtyard and just really sort of letting ourselves process these feelings that we have without chaining ourselves to anything. Change is hard, but it's okay.
Is it?
And I think it's okay. This is me telling myself, and we'll get through it. But yeah, I hope to go more than just that day. Maybe I'll be able to go back a couple more times before it's totally gone. But yeah, this is a significant change. I know people maybe there are people out there, I can't imagine that they feel this way, that aren't as fanatical as we are about the Muppets. But I mean, it's not just like I heard someone, I think it may have been, it was on one of the socials today. Someone was talking about, the Muppets really embody like they're like the perfect representation of #AlwaysMGM Hollywood Studios. Like it's all about the show, just the magic, the suspension of disbelief, the being able to be kids and be silly, and just like everything about them is kind of like what the idea of Hollywood Studios is and was. And it's hard for me to accept that they haven't ever become more of like a staple or a focus in that park. I love the fact they're still going to be there, at least on Rock and Roller Coaster. That's great, but I know like there's a lot of people who aren't going to ride that ride because they're not coaster people. So I hope that there's opportunities for people who aren't coaster people to still connect to the Muppets in the park. Eventually.
I don't know. I also feel like, although, because I saw it in January and was like, okay, I did it twice. It's sad. I at least I know I saw it one more time. But then when you remove yourself a little bit, it's like, oh, that's not actually happening. Right. And then like once it's happened, it's probably gonna be like, wait, what? Like for real?
But yeah. Yeah, I know. That's why we've got to we have to acknowledge our feelings, and that's what we're doing.
But a marathon of Muppet Vision 3D on May the 16th is in order, and with 3 weeks to go, do you, besides the Rock and Roller Coaster update, do you want to see the fountain moved over to the front of the attraction? Is there elements? Is there anything else? Do you try to be your own Imagineer inside your brain and concoct what the next steps are for the Muppets beyond Rock and Roller Coaster. Yeah,
I think that they should move the fountain. I think they should preserve that. And eventually, when the villain show closes, because I think we all sort of know it's temporary there. It's like a test. Yeah. Villains in the parks until we get Villains Land. So eventually, when that goes away, maybe the Muppets somehow occupy that theater. Yeah, that would be good. But they could turn that whole area into the new Muppets courtyard, and that would be. It's not the perfect solution, but it would be acceptable. So they're not gone and they still have a presence. I don't know what they do in the theater, but
Jen's shaking her head and
getting more depressed.
Yeah,
I'm getting sadder thinking about the whole courtyard. Like, can you just pick it up and put it somewhere? The whole courtyard, just as it is.
What if 5 years from now, the whole Muppets courtyard is there? The movie, the 3D movie is in where the villains area is. You got rock and roll. Are you accepting of that, Jen?
No.
No.
I mean, I guess it's something. I have to listen. It doesn't matter. Like we say about all things, it doesn't actually matter. They're going to do it. I'm not going to not go to Disney. I am just... My feelings are hurt.
And that's fine.
Taking it away. And so it's a lot of nostalgia. That courtyard area, to your point, Justin, is like so nostalgic. And one of the few remaining areas in the studios that still kind of hold that old school vibe that they had in the beginning. And I don't know.
I know.
We all did not save the Muppets, Justin.
We tried so hard.
As many times as all of us said it on our podcast and our live streams.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Adam wrote all those letters.
Adam wrote a lot of letters.
He wrote a lot of letters.
Well, I think we should try to wrap this up here on another epic edition of Theme Park Thursday featuring Justin Monorail here today. We'll turn it over to you, Justin, to plug all the things and tell me about all the places. Tell the audience at large all the places where we can find you and the podcast and the whole thing.
Well, thank you all again for having me back. This has been a lot of fun. And like I said, I've missed you guys. So hopefully we can spend some more time together in the near future, I hope. But if you all want to check out my podcast, I'm on a little show called the Monday Morning Monorail. And it comes out, surprise, every Monday morning. It's me and Landon the Dawsdone and Steffers. And, you know, we goof around quite a bit, but we do talk about some Disney news and just generally connect with our monorail family, as we call them, over our love of the theme parks. And we're doing a lot of other things. We've got some plans. We had big plans for this year, and now it's May, and we haven't done any of them yet. But there's still plans, and if you want to see those things play out, go to dismornings.com. That's the centralized hub for pretty much everything, and you can keep up to date with what's going on and check out our blog and all sorts of things. So dismornings.com, check it out, and thank you all again. It's been a blast.
Now, between living with the Landon, you just had the 250th episode. You got the Muppets Marathon happening on May 16th. Tomorrow, if you're listening today, the 15th of May, to this audio podcast. Yeah, I think you're doing all the things.
Thanks. We're trying. That's all we can do.
All right. Until next time, she's Jen. That's Justin Monorail, and I'm Frank. Bye-bye.
Deuces. The Dillo's Diz podcast is hosted by Frank Cardillo and Jen Cardillo-Snyder. Music produced by Matt Harvey. Logos and video production courtesy of Snidillo Studios. Dillo's Diz Resort is our Patreon with tiers starting as low as $1 per month. You can visit dillosdizresort.com to learn more. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X Twitter, and Facebook at Dillo's Diz. Check us out on YouTube by visiting youtube.com/DillosDiz. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. We also have merch available on TeePublic and Etsy. For all this and more, visit our one-stop shop, dillosdiz.com. Dillo's Diz Podcast 2025.